The Cultural Approach to Organizations Theory by Geertz and Pekanowski states that an organization does not have culture, but rather an organization is culture. I come from a family where my mother is Japanese and my father is American, creating our own multicultural world within our family organization. An example of a ritual we have in our family organization is celebrating the traditional Japanese New Year's each year in America. My grandmother spends a week in advance to prepare the various Japanese dishes, which vary from sweet, sour, savory, and all have different textures. When preparing the food, my grandmother reminds my sister and I about how each dish has its own symbolic meaning. For example, the red snapper means celebration within our culture, so we have a ritual of eating the red snapper every year. My grandmother tells us every year that this is the celebration fish, not to remind us to eat the fish, but rather to reinforce the symbolic meaning that stands behind each dish. Growing up, my grandmother would share her personal story with my sister and I on how hard she works to prepare the different foods for New Year's. This results in a stronger appreciation for the food because my grandmother spent so much time and effort to prepare everything. There is enough food prepared to last 3 days so that people can enjoy time with family during New Year's rather slaving over food. We have a culture within my family organization to work as a team in order to help each other so that everyone is happy. So before New Year's, all the women in my household work together to prepare the many dishes we eat at New Year's. The presentation of the food is also very important, and my mother helps my grandmother with the preparation of the ojubako, which is a lacquered wooden box. In the ojubako, it is important to include 5 different colors of food so that the presentation of the food is colorful and more appealing. Since no one in the family is supposed to work during New Year's, we prepare enough food to last us 3 days so everyone can enjoy and celebrate the new year. As each day passes, the box count gets smaller and smaller, and by the 3rd day, we have finished all the food. My family has created a culture of celebrating both Japanese and American holidays, and each year I bring a friend to our Japanese New Year's so they too can experience my Japanese American culture. The ritual of working together as a team within my family organization is also an important factor within our culture. Celebrating Japanese New Year's as a family, as well as spending time with my family, reinforces these traditions that are important within my family organization. The face negotiation theory presented by Stella Ting Toomey states that members from individualistic and collectivistic cultures often have different styles of conflict and management because they have different ideas about self-image. People who have an interdependent self-image in a collectivistic culture are concerned with giving other face or mutual face, so they adopt a conflict style of avoiding or integrating to make sure that the other person feels less embarrassed. On the other hand, people with an independent self-image in an individualistic culture are concerned with protecting self-face, so they adopt a conflict style of dominating to uphold their public self-image. Due to my mother being from Japan, a collectivistic society, and my father from America, an individualistic society, my family experiences 2 different extremes when dealing with conflict. My mother gets aggravated whenever things happen that deal with my family as a unit and our success as a whole, while my father gets upset when things happen individually for me, for example, school, my health, and my overall success. An example between the expressions of conflict and concern from my parents deals with my image and values. My dad has an idealized version of my self-image, especially on my ability to be independent. He uses mutual face because he understands I want to be more independent, so he makes me feel more independent by letting me make my own choices and learn from them. My mom, on the other hand, deals with conflict differently because rather than acting off of her emotions, she is very thoughtful and proceeds with a team group ethic, which is her Japanese style of conflict management. My mother's style of conflict management is integrating by engaging in collective problem solving, which does not mean negotiating, but rather coming up with a new solution. Since she comes from generations of family businesses, trust and reputation is very relevant in her style of conflict management, and she is very fair when coming up with a solution. My mother always tells me, you have to think about what you are going to say because there are always consequences to your words. I agree that you have to consider people's feelings and think about whether or not what you are going to say will be a positive thing, which is a result of my face-giving style and how I enjoy building other people up. I have also adopted a similar style of conflict management from my mother because I too like to come up with my own solution when it comes to problem solving. I believe if you are in agreement with everybody, it is actually better than if one person thinks their idea is correct, but it is not a popular idea as a whole. This is my style of integrating and engaging everyone's ideas. My father, on the other hand, deals with conflict in a passive-aggressive manner because he does not have a lot of patience for repeating the same instructions over and over, so he gives a shorter response when dealing with conflicts. Maybe it is because he grew up with a brother and now he lives with 3 women, but I prefer when people are straightforward with me, so I dislike this passive-aggressive style of conflict management and I lean more towards collectivistic styles of conflict management. However, at the same time, I do not like to be micromanaged, so in this case, I also portray some individualistic styles when choosing my own pathway. The interactional view theory by Paul Watzlawick states that relationships within a family system are interconnected and highly resistant to change. My family is very resistant to change when it comes to doing family dinners on Saturdays. Growing up, I attended Japanese school on Saturdays, so Saturday became our default day to enjoy a traditional Japanese dinner once a week, as well as study Japanese and practice reading with my grandfather. We would always start dinner at 6 p.m., and as my sister and I got older, the dinner time remained the same. So if we finished early enough, my sister and I would spend time with our friends after dinner. Sometimes I felt like I was missing out because my friends would go out to dinner on Saturdays while I was at home with my family. I grew up very close to my family and we all have a strong relationship with one another. So when I asked to move family dinners to Sunday because I wanted to spend time with my friends instead, my mother valued our family relationship more importantly than the content of my question. She comes from a collectivistic society and family values are very strong, so when I asked this question, she explained that we did family dinners on Saturday because that is the day that worked best within our family organization. The punctuation is how each party works the beginning and end of a communication interaction. So while in the beginning I wanted to change our family rituals of having dinner together on Saturdays, as I got older I appreciated the delicious home-cooked meals and I learned to incorporate time for both family and friends. By eating good food with my family and then going out after and spending time with my friends. By interpreting this ongoing sequence of events, I labeled my Japanese school as the initial cause for our family dinners on Saturdays being the response. And as we grew older, we became so accustomed to this tradition we created within our family system to enjoy traditional Japanese food. When reframing the situation and seeing it in a new light from a different perspective, I really appreciated these family gatherings because it truly bonded everyone closely and made our relationships stronger. Today, I continue to have family dinners and I go home weekly to see my family because I have such a strong relationship with all my family members. When I was younger, I wanted to imitate what my friends were doing, but I am thankful that instead I actually spend time with my family and the people who love and care about me the most, because that is what is important to me. The end.